Открой мне секреты, слова, что без ответа. Время идти вперед. Скажи мне, что знаешь, что от себя скрываешь. Поверь, растает лед. Где ты, рассвет, взгляни в наши глаза. Ветром мечтай. Где-то свой путь начинает опять моя душа.
Hello guys and greetings from St. Petersburg. So this is my first time in Russia. It's our neighboring country. You know, we've been like all over the world kind of traveling, and I thought it was a really the good moment now to just take a look what's right behind our borders. Come here, meet our Slavic brothers and sisters. I thought the St. Petersburg was a good start. It's very easy to get here actually from Helsinki. It's just a few hours by train. So here we are, but you know, the first night already was pretty crazy. Set a pretty good mood for this trip. We were, because as I said, we were on the train, so we were pretty hungry, and I started to think like we could go eat right after our train arrives. So I started to think like, you know, I could have a steak. So let's search for some good steak places that would be nearby the train station. Just do a quick search. Okay, there's a few. This is good reviews. It's close by. Let's go there. So the train arrives, we start to kind of see our way there. We use the GPS because obviously we don't know anything about the streets here. So then it's like a couple of kilometers away. We arrive there and we start to look. You know, the GPS tells us, hey, here it should be right over there, okay, on the left side. But there's just this building. There's kind of like looks like a palace or a museum or something like this, and then we're starting to live like kind of doubt. Is this really the place? Okay, but it's there. The restaurant name's Block, and we see okay there. It definitely is over there. So we just came out of the train. Maybe we're a little bit like sweaty or something. We're just wearing t-shirt, you know, pretty casual stuff. We're thinking, is this too fancy place for us? But we're like, it looks so tempting. It was like, screw it. Let's go in and let's see what's in there. And what's in with the very first is a security clearance. So we need to give our bags, you know, go through the metal detectors, stuff like that. Okay, so still seems okay. Yeah, we go in, give our bags to their cloakroom, and they just go to the elevator. It's the 4th floor. So there's the restaurant. Okay, this it still seems okay. The place is looking kind of like some kind of nightclub or something like this. And I'm thinking, okay, we take the elevator. And there is probably the craziest looking restaurant that I've ever been to. And you know, the place, the first thing that you notice is this sort of looks like kind of an altar, kind of like in a church. Because if you've ever been to an Orthodox church and you see those icons, there's like the paintings are right next to each other. There's a lot of multiple paintings of the saints and stuff like that. It's a bit similar in this restaurant, except it's modern art paintings. And yeah. That's basically it. The place is filled with these paintings, huge like a tall roof. You're just thinking, where did I come to? Is this really the restaurant? Yeah, yes it is. But overall, a very, very good experience, great service. The steak that we had there, probably the best I've ever had in my life. Super tender ribeye, melts in mouth. And overall, it's an amazing experience. Because this caliber restaurants, I don't think, for example, in Helsinki, we're not used to that. When we were in Kazakhstan, I did notice that the Russian people do have this tendency to make the restaurant design very sort of grandiose, and I actually enjoy that. But the same thing seems to be here in Petersburg as well. That if the restaurant is like it's a fine restaurant, they really make it fine and it's really fancy. But you know, for example, our dresses, there's no reason to worry about it because the men here, they don't really care about how they dress. In that restaurant, it's a fine restaurant, but they wear like t-shirts, stuff like that. So no big deal. The women, they dress quite nice, but the men seem to not really care. So we fit right in. Next, we're heading to the streets of the St. Petersburg, so I'm gonna see you guys there. I think one of my favorite things when traveling to new places is
is actually just like watching the people there. Because even though they probably look normal, but they're different, like ethnicity, different nationality, so they tend to look very interesting. But here, one of the things that I didn't really even notice, my friend Samuel here, he said that actually most of these people they could actually be like Finnish, because they look a bit like Finnish. But I didn't know this is because they have such different, although they look maybe a little bit like Finnish people, they have so different spirit and different like facial demeanor. Like they usually the men are like this, like so, like this way, and they, you know, like I think the stereotype for us of the Russian people is that they are kind of silent, a little bit grim, aggressive, and just like tough guys, you know. So I think it holds true, at least in many cases.
Рассвет, взгляни в наши глаза. Светом мечтай. Где-то свой путь начинает опять моя душа.
A sip of tea.
So generally, like the bigger cities that we've been have, I think they're all being pretty safe to be, and you never really feel in danger. I'd say Kazakhstan was the only place where you actually felt a bit threatened, because even if you read online, even the police officers can basically mug you or something like this. But here, you know, it's good, it's peaceful, and the only thing is that there still is, you know, people that can scam you. For example, in many countries, taxi drivers. Here, what happened? We were in this like a open place. A lot of people there, and there's like these guys who have these pigeons that are kind of tamed, so they give them to people so they can hold them, and then they take pictures. You know, they put them to the shoulders, arms, or on top of the head. And so we went there, we wanted a picture. We thought it'd be really cool for the Instagram, and if you follow me, then you probably see the picture. But so we take the pictures, and then this one guy brings this brown pigeon, like extra pigeon, to me and says, "Oh, take this special pigeon." And afterwards he comes to say us like, you know, this brown pigeon is special, so it costs 500 rubles extra, or rupees, I'm not sure. Anyway, and so basically he didn't tell us anything beforehand. We're taking the picture, he just brings the pigeon there, and then he says afterwards, "Okay, now I give you the pigeon, pay me." So basically he's trying to scam money. So we say, okay, we didn't make this kind of deal, so we're not going to pay anything. And as we were leaving, he just, like, he doesn't even say it really aggressively, he just kind of says that, "Sir, you're in big trouble." And so, I don't know, I think 90% chance that it was just bluff, but at the same time I got a little worried, and I started to, like, after that I was just looking after my shoulder and staring at people like, you know, he sent some hitmen after us, which would be kind of crazy to get whacked because of some special brown pigeon. But that was what happened.
So we got some Russian milk chocolate here. This feels pretty good. We've been walking today like miles and miles yesterday to get a fuel up a little bit. I think it will be hard to beat the Finnish chocolate, the Butcher's Brew, which is a really big brand in Finland. But let's see, maybe this is good. It's pretty good actually. It's not too bad. I don't know, it's kind of familiar taste. I think there are some other chocolate that taste a bit like this. Not bad at all. Yeah. No, it says post-workout treat, cinnamon rolls.
I know. Yeah, you know. So?
Yeah, good background.
So, what can I say?
Yeah. Hey guys, we saw this super amazing looking church from the distance. We were visiting this little island here and we needed to come to see this closer look. I'm not sure if you can. I think the video doesn't really bring out the majesty, or you can't really see how huge this is, but it's really incredible. We were actually trying to get inside the museum. There was one fan of mine came to there to just say hello and took a selfie with me. That was really cool. But it seems that the ticket line is extremely long, or the queue today is super long, so I think we're gonna visit here another day. And now we just move on.
Рассвет, взгляни в наши глаза, с ветром мечтай.
Try this way. Okay, this is okay for now, but try also keeping a little more straight back. If you can do it that way, just keep as straight back as you can, and also the legs straight as you bend down. So you don't need to go lower than the horizontal. Yeah, just it looks.
No, it's funny because we've been here like a few days and it seems like the place is just getting more and more amazing every day. We were like just finding these places everywhere here, like these incredible buildings. Like this is stunning.
Это свой путь начинает опять моя душа. Где ты, рассвет, взгляни в наши глаза, ветром мечтай. Где-то свой путь
we're now in Moscow, and at first sight it looks pretty incredible. Like every single direction you look at here, there's some sort of church or a castle somewhere on the horizon. So this is the area surrounding the Kremlin, which I guess is some sort of governing center of the Russia. There's like this place behind the walls. There's like multiple churches and I think some sort of museums and whatnot inside there. If we can visit there, I think we need to buy like tickets to get inside. But the area surrounding already is pretty stunning. I've never seen like buildings like here. The architecture. So I was looking for like cabs that would have some Russian text. I finally found one here. No idea actually what it says here. I think the P is maybe R or something like that in Russian. But anyway, so we wanted to get inside the Kremlin, but the line there is pretty long. So I'm not sure. I think we can also maybe get tickets online, but I don't think we're going to stay here waiting.
你走那么快干什么啊？
Alright, first full day in Moscow. I think I made some realizations while being here in Russia, and the first thing is that it's actually pretty nice here, which sounds maybe odd, but my expectations, I think, from Russia, I didn't actually have much. I thought, that the bigger cities are in okay shape. you know, there's some nice historical buildings, but these are actually in a really good shape. Like the cities here are amazing, and I'm saying this because I think that at least I had, and I believe most of the people my friend had, I think my parents had this idea, and many people basically in the Western world have this idea of Russia that, okay, you know, maybe you see some couple of nice churches, but otherwise it's like this ugly concrete jungle, you know, this horrible crumbling houses and very poor everywhere and so on and so on. And you know, coming here, it's like the opposite of this, at least in these bigger cities. Of course, I think every like country has these sort of areas, and this is the case. But here, though, people I think that there's almost everything is like bad. And so these clean areas with very nice, beautiful architecture, they are not just like within like a very small center area. These are big cities, and for example, in St. Petersburg, when we were going to the airport, we could see the city, like it went on and on and on, and it was still looking very nice over there. I know when we came by train to St. Petersburg, I saw some areas that looked, you know, bad. It was pretty horrible looking, like these buildings there. But what I'm saying is like this kind of areas that look bad, they're all over the world. Wherever I've been to, I've seen like pretty horrible looking stuff. And so I think there is some sort of like, the media perhaps is trying to portray maybe the Russia and some of the like parts here that in a kind of a bad light. This is how I feel perhaps now, because even like when I said to my parents that I'm going to Russia, and I think I mentioned like even these bigger cities, they were like, oh, Russia, be careful, you know, like this is sort of the idea that there's a lot of criminality here, there's very dangerous too. And actually this guy, we met a Finnish guy walking on the streets of St. Petersburg, and he had been living in St. Petersburg for many years. He wasn't living there anymore, but now he was just like visiting every now and then. And he said that it's safer than Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland, where I come from. And Helsinki is a really safe place. So to have someone who's lived there from Finland, lived there for many years, and say that it's actually safer, it's, you know, it means something. And then people have, of course, this image that some of the Western places, like let's say Australia, you know, everything is super fine and cool and yay there. And you know, I had this image when we went there, like into Melbourne. But I noticed, like for example, there, when you go outside, you live a little bit outside of like the center, like the very center of the town, you know, the buildings get in a really bad shape. They look like, I always told, like for example, that they kind of look like this from an old Western movie, this sort of old British architecture. And you know, there's nothing bad with this, but it's just this contrast of thinking that it's somehow more like, oh, everything is greater there and somewhere. And now seeing this, it's a pretty big contrast and kind of a huge shock to realize in how good shape the places are here. So I guess my advice would be that, you know, if you have a chance, go and visit some of the Russian cities, see it for yourself what it's like. Don't take everything that they say in the news, all the super bad stuff about everything. You know, just go see it for yourself. So today, actually, one of my Australian students, he is in Moscow right now. I contacted him that we could maybe meet up here. So in about an hour or so, I'm going to see him. It will be really nice. He's gonna show us around the city a little bit. So that's what's up.
It's just come on again, just want to make sure nothing.
So I'm here like one of my coaching students who's from Australia. Lives every now and then in Russia. I was in Moscow and I knew about this, so because we were traveling here, so why not, you know, meet up.
So what are you drinking or what are you doing?
This is actually non-alcoholic beer. I haven't drank alcohol in like maybe 2 years, so this is quite fine.
Yes.
We already had our foods here. It's quite good stuff in Russia. It's sort of, like in general, the food has been really good here. But not too much spicy, so it's good for our Finnish taste.
You want to know my little story about her?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean I came there 2 years ago because I was just completely, my whole body was just completely wrecked. No ability to connect with my muscles or joints at all. Like, everything, from my perspective, everything on YouTube is complete trash. And I was just going through all these people that couldn't help and all it. And then I found that guy. And I was like, whoa, holy crap, this is it, I found it. Body's program, hired him as a coach, and going on 2 years, doing gymnastics.
2 years?
Yeah, it's almost 2 years, man. Now I'm doing flips and back flips and back handsprings and muscle ups on the rings and stuff. It's like a whole life transformation. And it's almost just exactly where I've had my eyes on. Like almost everything with my body is just tipped up right now. So he's the man,
Yeah, we still keep going. Still training. Hey guys, so I'm back in Finland. Just want to say, some of my final thoughts about this trip to Russia, and also, I think some people will ask, like, how do I train when I travel? And honestly, my training doesn't differ much from like my normal training if I'm at home here. Like if I have like space like this, less in like hotel rooms, I can train really well my whole body. My hips, shoulders, back, legs, it doesn't matter because most of my training anyway is based on like using just my body weight. So I do my mobility training usually, basically like on this trip I did quite a lot of hip training, quite a lot of shoulder training because there was a lot of walking, carrying backpack, and felt really good to just move my body and do some training. But basically like my training programs, even like the movement twin XX, athlete twin XX, warrior twin XX, these contain training that I do, and all of them has a lot of bunch of stuff that you can just do with your body weight. There's no need for equipment, so I just train kind of the way I usually train, but usually a little bit less, because the time goes sometimes to a little more other things. But also like here, when I was traveling, I tend to walk like tens of kilometers per day, so I also consider that training as well. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about here was just it was very nice to see like two bigger cities in Russia, so St. Petersburg, Moscow, and just, both are big, but there's a lot of differences there as well between, and like Petersburg, I would say just a little more down to earth, and it was a more chill place. I really loved it, beautiful old architecture, but huge city, but very like zero tall buildings over there. So because I'm used to like seeing, if I'm in a big city, there's this sort of skyscrapers here and there, but there was none, just a lot of churches. Moscow then again has both sides. It has this historical, artistic, beautiful old buildings, but also this sort of business center as well. And it's like a lot more, it has I guess like as you could say, a higher pulse, so it feels like people are more busy, all the time something's going on in Moscow. It's more, it's just more stuff going on there. But I actually prefer maybe Moscow for a few days, like a holiday or something like this perhaps, but I prefer Petersburg if I was going to live in Russia. And I think like next year we're going to stay there actually for a couple of months and train MMA, and this was sort of like a trip to just scout and see if it's actually would be a place where you even want to stay. And so far I have to say it was very nice. Have a like really positive image based on these trips that I had. But one thing was, I talk about like how people had these prejudices of Russia, and I kind of understood at least like partly, also where it comes from with this older generation, because it's not just the news that are nowadays that are quite negative, but it's also that things were in a very, very bad shape in Russia, just like maybe we go 10-20 years back, and especially during the Soviet time. And for example, this taxi driver that we met when we came from Russia to Finland, we took a taxi back home, and the taxi driver had been in Russia, I think it was maybe the 80s, and he was basically telling like everything was broken, you couldn't get any stuff from the stores, it was just looked horrible. So this is the image that many people have that visited there on the 80s or 90s after the Soviet Union had like broken. So I kind of understand that people generally don't have a very good image of Russia, but I think it's just it's very interesting that they made such a huge change there, like within 10 years, huge amount of development and cleaning up the cities there, cleaning up the buildings. So we kind of hit there at the time where it was kind of very much conditioned the place, But it will be very interesting now to just follow this progress, what is going to happen there, because so far the development has been very quick, so what will happen? And especially because I want to go there, next year, as I said, to live for a few months and train, go to the gyms there, train with the Russians, the MMA. But I really, hope that you enjoyed this sort of trip, and it also opened your worldview as well. My adventures are not ending anytime soon. So I will see you in the next video, guys. Stay strong!
Открой мне секреты, слова, что без ответа. Время идти вперед. Скажи мне, что знаешь, что от себя скрываешь. Поверь, растает лед.